Hello guys, welcome back to another YouTube video with Tank Group today, and today we're doing what boys and girls from Galactic Axe, because today we're back on World Tanks Console, that's right, and we're doing World Tanks Console, their tank. Well, again, I'm Galactic Axe, because today we're taking a look at the all singing, all dancing, all new American heavy tanks, the Yoh heavy tanks, or Yoh tanks, whatever you want to call these things. They're finally on World Tanks Console, and I am doing a full, somewhat full, I guess you could say, but a tech tree review of them. This is showing you guys of them being stocked. If you remember me doing a video a couple days ago, about them being upgraded, the upgrade variations of the vehicles. So I'm just showing you guys the stock variations of these vehicles within the tech tree. So I guess you could say a tech tree showcasing of them without taking any of them out into a gameplay. So sorry for that, but it is what it is. I don't have them all completely unlocked yet. Don't worry, I will someday. But yeah, we're going to be taking a look at them, starting from here down here at tier 6 and going all the way up to tier 10. And I do have to say this, there is one sad thing I have to say, and I know I probably said this too much in my other video about showing you guys about these vehicles coming out, is that they don't get the same mechanic as what the PC version gets. Or if you would have hit the track, at least let's say you hit, I don't know, this track over on this side, it can still keep on moving, though it won't be down here at tier 6, it'll be at like tier 7. But still, the point is that you hit the one track, the vehicle can keep on moving, but very slowly. And if you decide to hit the track on this side, it's even more slower yet. So that would have been a nice mechanic. It's an extra track to get in the rear of the vehicle, but sadly, we don't get that. I think that would have been, like, just awesome to have, but sadly, World Tanks Console decided to give us something completely different, though in a way, I guess you could say and argue that it's not a bad idea, but honestly, I've been waiting for these tanks. And I've been wanting to see the mechanics that they can do like PC. That's why I was pretty excited for these vehicles. Now I'm not even sure if I'm that excited about these vehicles, to be honest. I mean, it's cool to see them in the game. It's just that you get what I'm trying to say, right? The mechanic that they normally would have on PC, we don't get. Instead, we get a faster repair time with our tracks, and also the tracks gets more health. So, and that's all starts at tier 7, of course, and higher. Down here at tier 6, they don't normally get that type of mechanics and stuff. So, yeah. But still, the point is that we don't get the mechanic and stuff like that. But enough with the jibber jabber. Let's get on with the video. So, with your standard ammunition, you get 152 meters of pen, with premium rounds 192 pen, and with HE about 38. Damage is 150 for both standard and premium rounds, and 220 with HE. Hit points is 900, max speed is 45 miles per hour, view range is 350, concealment is 407. So not that bad overall. So let's look at the other stats. So the gun, which is a 76 caliber gun, the rate of fire is 13.04, accuracy 100 meters is 0.41, and we already talked about the damage and penetration. AP, APCR, HE, and carry up to 90 rounds, and of course, upgraded gun is of course the 90mm gun, which is a very nice gun, though I'm not sure how it plays on this vehicle, so I can't wait to play these vehicles and test out what the 90mm gun will feel like on this vehicle. Of course, it gets two different types of sorry for that, boys and girls. It gets two types of turns. Of course, it gets the A variant and the B, which you get a little bit more hit points and stuff, about 50 more hit points. And then, of course, you get AP, APCR, and HE, like I have said. And then, of course, oh wow, not many upgrades to go towards the tier 7, which is the M2Y. That's not bad. And then let's go ahead and go over towards the armor layout, which is somewhat interesting for being a tier 6. When you're bottom tiered, of course, due because this is a tier 6, and it will see 2 tiers higher, which means it will see the tier 8s, which tier 8s ain't going to struggle against your turret. But if you're thinking of it, if you're top tiered, maybe some of those top bomber tiered vehicles like tier 5s and tier 4s will probably struggle against your turret. So I guess time is going to tell. But let's look at the armor for the vehicle. So we got 12 Mere Sickness, which is these like toolboxes on where the track sits, and this little bit on the back of the tank's hull, the butt. We have 20, which is the tracks themselves, which acts like space armor, so heat and HE shells won't be as effective against them. We all already know that tank, so let's move on. 25.0 is the gun. 25.4, which is the belly of the tank, and where the muff, or above the tracks, where the muff flaps, sits, press the turret ring. There's a little spot on, like, the back of the turret. I'm not sure what you want to call that. And the engine deck, and press the roof of the turret and the cupola as well. We have 30 Mere Sickness, which is these left and right bits back here at the back of the hull. 31, which is the back of the cupola. 38, which is the back of the hull, which is the butt and the back of the turret, and these little bits of where the turret sits, and underneath where the gun outlet sits. Oh wait, and press the cupola too. Then we have 40, which is the upper plate. A nice angle with your, if you're using your full gun depression, you're probably going to really get that armor thickness probably up there. But then there's a pretty big weak spot where the driver sits, so yeah. And then also left and right of the gun mantlet. 44, which is the upper plate, and then the lower plate. I'm kind of confused of what to call that plate. And press below where the cheeks of the turret is, and these left and right parts on the back of the hull. And then we have 45, which is the back of the turret back here, and underneath the gun mantlet as well. 50.0, which is the left and right of where the turret, back of the turret, and this back of the hull back here, and press back here near the butt as well. Then we have 50.8, which is the forehead, or actually not really the forehead, I guess. Maybe the forehead? Or just on top of the gun mantlet right there. Then we have 55, which is this mid plate right here in the front of the hull. Press these side bits on the sides of the hull. Press on left and right of the rear of the turret. And again, left and right of the butt of the tank as well. 60, which is again left and right of the near the butt. And this bit back here of the underneath the turret as well. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog scratching the ground. He's trying to find a spot to lay down. Then also underneath the gun mantlet as well. We have 63, which is the sides of the hull, well, near the tracks, and on the, where that, whatever you want to call that, bustle? And also the sides of the turret as well. And press around the gun, the cupola as well. 65, which is the left and right of the hull right here near the front. 69, which is the top of the cheeks and left and right of the turret. Then we have 70, which is the bottom part of the cheeks and left and right of the turret, and where the driver sits. 76, which is these side bits right here on the hull. 80, which is again near the cheeks and the sides of the turret. 82, which is, where is this? Oh, right here. Sides of the hull as well. Left and right of it. Front 88, which is on the sides of the turret and where the driver sits. Or where the crew stands. I don't know what you want to call that. 90, which is underneath the, looks like, yeah, it looks like underneath the, oh my goodness, the gun mantlet. 95, which is the gun mantlet itself and the cheeks of the turret. We have 100, which is this mid plate plus the gun mantlet and near left and right of the cheeks. Then we have the cheeks, which is 101, and where the driver sits, and left and right of where the driver sits. We have 110, which is this, again, I guess you could say mid plate, but I'm not 100% what you want to call that. And then also front of the cupola as well. 114, which is left and right of where the driver sits, and then 115, which is the gun outlet, 120, which is the left and right of the driver sits again, 130, which is the gun outlet, 140, which is the gun outlet itself in the middle, and 146, which is the where the driver sits completely. So, yeah, pretty interesting armor layout. Um, I mean, if you're using your full gun depression, you're probably making this like upper plate right here good, but then you're going to have to worry about where the driver sits, and people is probably going to shoot there instead, which I would say definitely would be the biggest spot to shoot at. If you're looking for a spot to shoot at. So yeah, next is of course the other stats of the tank. So top forward speed is 45 miles per hour. Top reverse speed is 14. Um, Horsepower is 600. Power to weight ratio is 16.67. Intro fire chance, which means how often you can be set on fire, is 15%. Hit points is 900. Hull rotation speed is 30 seconds. Self-retraining resistance is 2.50. And medium retraining resistance is 1.40. And firm retraining resistance is 1.30. Detected range while sitting still is 407.87, and while moving is 426.44. View range is 350, signal range is 615. And then the main course of the vehicle is the gun, which is the 76 caliber gun. Rotation speed is 32 seconds. Accuracy during rotation is 1.84. Max elevation is 15. Max depression is 9, which out of all these vehicles, this one actually gets 9, where they all get a little bit less of the gun depression, so she doesn't know. Rate of fire, reload time, not rate of fire, is 4.60. Rate of fire is 13.04. Accuracy 100 meters is 0.41. Accuracy during movement is 4.80. Aim time is 2.20. And of course, you can only get one shot in your gun because you're not a autoloader, unlike World Tanks Blitz, where I believe that it is the top tiered one. I'm not sure if the other ones gets it, but they are a autoloader. Max ammunition you can carry is 9. Of course, you get AP, APCR, HE. Max damage per minute is 1,956. And of course, we already talked about all these other types of stats, damage, and all of that. If you want to see anything else you're interested with, go ahead and put the video on pause. But we're going to go ahead and going to go look at the tier 7 now. So let's go ahead and go to the tech tree. Where are they at? Right over here. So the tier 7, and no, I'm not unlocking the vehicle. I don't have that much free XP. So this one is a pretty interesting vehicle. It's a very big old boy, especially if you're looking at them from the sides. From the front, not so great, but yeah, whatever. Of course, upgrades, it looks like you got a pretty decent upgrade path to the M3Y, which is the tier 8 variation of the vehicle. But let's sit here and let's look at the penetration. So standard rounds, you get 181, with premium 218, HE is 45. Damage is 240 for both your standard and premium rounds, and 320 with HE. Hit points is 1,200, which, it should be up there, because this is a tier 7 vehicle, and because this is a tier 7, it will see tier 9s as well. Back speed is 40 miles per hour, view range is 360, concealment is 402. Okay, not bad overall. So the armor is probably something where it's even more interesting to see how this vehicle is going to react, because again, when you're bottom tiered, it really ain't going to make any differences, will it? But when you're top tiered, will the difference be also more better? And yeah, especially if this vehicle is fully upgraded and stuff. But I can say this much, that cupola up there is probably going to be a big old weak spot, especially if you're sitting on leveled ground as well. But let's get into the armor layout. So we got 15-meter thickness, which is, it looks like, if I'm correct, right there underneath the gun mantlet, I think. Yeah, it looks like near the gun mantlet underneath. Yeah, right there. As you can see, the bottom and top part of the gun mantlet. We have 20 meters thickness, which is the tracks, and yeah, that's it. Wow, only the tracks. We have 25, which is the belly of the tank and the turret ring and the engine deck and the roof of somewhat the turret and the cupola. Then we have 30, which is the side bits of where the hull is. Yep. Then we have 35, which is the gun itself. Then we have 38, which is where the driver sits and the machine gun sits, and also back of the turret back here, and this little bustle where the turret sits, and also the butt of the tank as well. We have 45, which is the rear of the turret, and left to right of the gun mantlet, which looks like the inside the armor where the cheeks are. So, yeah. We have 50, which is the rear of the turret, and around the cupola as well, where it's also the behind the forehead, and it looks underneath where the hull sits. 55, which is the left and right of the hull, and press that little spot underneath the hull as well. And it looks like the left and right of the gun mantlet again. We have 57, which is again around the gun mantlet and these left and right bits of the butt of the tank. We have 60, which is the left and right of the turret, and also, well, the rear of the turret and the sides of the turret as well. We have 63, which is the side bits of the turret and a little bit of the cupola. We have 69, which is again looks like the forehead. I thought it was a gun mantlet. Then we have 70, which is the side bits on the sides of the hull, and it looks like, no, not the gun mantlet. Okay, but also looks like the cupola too. We have 75, which is, well, that little bit down there, which I don't think you're really going to be hitting that too often, but okay. We have 60, not 60, 76, which is the sides of the hull, left and right. Then we have 82, which is this little bit down there of the frontal lower plate. We have 85, which it looks like near the um, left and right of the turret, near the front. We have 88, which is these little bits on the lower plate of the tank. 90, which is it looks like it's left and right of where the cheek sits. Then we have 95, which is left and right of the cheeks and the cupola itself. 100, which is, well, on the top of the cheeks of the turret. Then we have 101, which is this little plate right here. Pretty amazing that's 101. 110, which is the cheeks and sides of the cheeks. Then we have 120, which is the size of the upper plate and the cheeks as well. We have 125, which is left and right of the frontal upper plate and the little bits and bobs like down there in that area of the turret. And then we have 130, which is again bibs and bobs of the bottom part of the turret. We have 135, which is where both the driver and machine gunner sits. We have 145, which is left and right of the upper plate. And we have 152, which is the part of the gun mantlet. 155, which is the upper plate around the machine gun port and on near the cheeks of the turret, and bibs and bobs around the turret and the hull as well. 160, which is again the upper plate and around the cheeks of the turret. 165, which is this mid upper plate, whatever you want to call it. 170, which is the machine gun port. 175, which is the parts around where the gun, well, not the gunman, but the cheeks sits. 180, which is the cheeks again. 190, which is down there. Why is that down there for? I have no clue. Then 203, which is the gun mallet itself, and part of the forehead, it looks like, and behind of the gun mallet, as you can see right there. Huh, not bad overall. But let's go ahead and go back over to this part, and let's look at some of the other types of stats of the vehicle. So, top forward speed is 40 miles per hour, top reverse speed is 15, horsepower is 550, part to weight ratio is 13.22, and the chance of being set on fire is 20%. Hit points is 1,200. Hull rotation speed is 26 seconds. Self-retrieting resistance is 2.50. Medium retrieting resistance 1.40. And firm retrieting resistance is 1.30. The detectability range while sitting still is 402.34, and while moving is 423.67. View range is 360, and signal range is 410. And now let's look at the vehicle, because this vehicle gets a 90 mil gun as stock. Ooh, nice. Turn rotation speed is 26. Accuracy during rotation is 1.31. Max elevation is 20. Max depression is 10. Reload time is 9 seconds. Rate of fire is 6.67. Accuracy 100 meters is 0.42. Accuracy during movement is 4.37. Aim time is 2.40. Of course, you get one shot. Max ammunition is 54 rounds. Of course, you get AP, APCR, AG. And damage per minute is 1,601. And we've already talked about the remaining other stats. So if you want to put it on pause, you go right ahead with the video. But yeah, that is the M2Y at tier 7. Now let's look at its bigger brother, the M3Y. Huh, actually, hang on. What was the fully upgraded gun for the M2Y? I didn't look at that. So it gets a 90 mil gun, which is actually a 90 millimeter gun T208 rifled Healy gun. Okay, so it being stock or upgrade, it still gets 90, but this one should get a bigger gun overall. Fully upgrade one is 105 caliber. But we'll look at this. So it gets a 90 mil gun, a stock, but fully upgrade it does get a better 105 caliber gun. So at least once you get this thing fully upgraded, you're getting a better gun. At least. Though 90 mil gun is nothing to snuff at. So yeah. But let's talk about the gun itself. And of course, let's look at the upgrade path. So not really a lot of upgrades to get to the tier 9. Huh. It's just like the Chinese rocket heavy tanks. Oops, my bad. They don't get a big, too many upgrades to bleed into the next tank. So, not bad overall. So let's talk about this tank. So, with your standard ammunition, you get 223 meters per pen. Premium rounds is 290. HE is 45. Damage is 240 for both your standard and premium rounds, and 320 with HE. Hit points is 1,400. Max speed is 40 miles per hour. View range is 380, and concealment is 409. Not bad overall. But let's talk about the armor. And the turret looks like it can bounce some things. But in paper, it looks like it can do that. When you're 40, well, I guess not fully upgraded, but what I'm trying to say, when you're top tier, definitely 100% you can bounce a lot of shells. But when you're not top tier, I mean, sometimes you can bounce. But this is a tier 8 vehicle now, so it will be seeing those tier 10s, and you will be seeing big boys like FV405s, aka Ship Barns, aka also you got the Death Stars, plus you got Storm Tigers, Jagdpanzer E100s, Ruthlesses. The word keeps on going on with those types of tanks doing near 1,000 damage per shot. So, yeah, I guess in a way, it's your turn going to hold up. I guess time is going to tell of these tanks when you get into those types of matchups. But let's talk about the armor. So we get 15, which is, again, it looks like the parts of the gun mallet. 20 meter thickness, which is the tracks. 25, which is the battery of the tank and the engine deck and the roof of the turret and the cupola itself. and also around the gun, or not gun, oh my goodness, below of the rear of the turret and also around the turret ring. We have 30, which is the butt of the tank. We have 25, not 25, 35, which is the gun. We have 38, which is the turret ring itself, looks like, or that bustle where the turret sits in the drive report, and rear of the turret and the hull, and the bits and bobs around the little cupola. We have 50.0, which is these parts underneath, which it looks like these tanks guys have like a boat type of shape. So yeah, 50.8, which is these bits and bobs around the turret in the rear of the turret and where the top of the turret sits. 60, which is these sides left and right of the gun mantlet and the hull, well not hull, turret as well. We have 70.70, which is the left and right of the turret and the bottom of the tank, with also the lower part of the plate as well, and also again where the gun mantlet sits as well. We have 76, which is the left and right of the turret near the rear. We have 80, which is these little side bits on the hull. 85, which is the side bits of the side of the turret and that little bustle down there. 88, which is the sides of the hull, which it doesn't look too great of the hull. Uh, yeah. 95, which is the side bits of where the driver sits and the turret as well. The where the forehead sits and bibs and bobs around the turret and these lower plate area, which is the 101. And this was 95, yeah. And this is the 105, which is the low plate and a couple spots on the turret. 110, which is the upper plate and a couple spots on the left and right of the turret as well. 115, which is this low plate, and that's it. 120, which is these, well, this spot over here and some spots on the, well, cupola. 125, which is the upper plate and where the cheek sits and left and right of the turret. 135, which is the sides of the turret as well. 140, which is the upper plate and where the driver sits. 145, which is again on the turret itself and the cupola. 155, which is the upper plate and around the turret as well, where the cheeks are. 165, which is the middle part of the upper plate and again around where the cheeks are and stuff. 175, which is around the turret again. 177, which is this mid plate, I guess you would want to call it. And then we have 185, which is these spots right here on the turret. And then 195, which it looks like is the gun mantlet and the cheeks again. 200, which is these two like little Gunkin things from Star Wars. 205, which is around the cheeks of the turret. 210, which is two bids in the bottom part of the turret and that little like view range finder. 220, which is the bottom part of the gun mantlet. 230, which is again around over around the gun mantlet and stuff. And 241, which is in the middle of the gun mantlet and that little spot down there as well. So let's take a look at the remaining stats of the tank. So top forward speed is 40 miles per hour, top reverse speed is 17, horsepower is 600, power to weight ratio is 13.53, or how often you get set on fire is 20%, hit points is 1,400, hull rotation speed is 26, self rotating resistance is 2.50, medium rotating resistance is 1.40, and firm rotating resistance is 1.30. Depth of variability range while sitting still is 409.45, while moving is 427.22, view range is 380, and signal range is to 745. Next is the gun, which is the 90mm gun. Whole current rotation speed is 28 seconds. Actually, during rotation is 1.14. Max elevation is 20. Max depression is 10. Reload time is 6.90 seconds. Reload time is 8.70. Accuracy at 100 meters is 0.37. Accuracy during movement is 3.26. Aim time is 2.10. Shots per clip, which this is a single shot gun. 1, you can carry up to 60 rounds, get APCR, heat, and HE. And of course, average damage per minute is 2,088. And we already talked about the few other remaining other stats, the pen, and the damage. But if you want to put it on pause, go right ahead. So yeah, that is the M3Y. A pretty chunky boy from their side. Not really great from the front, but I'm guessing maybe pretty decent if it goes all down. But next is the tier 9. We're getting there, boys and girls. We're getting there. It's starting to look more like the Yoh Tanks we know on PC. And it gets that little machine gun port on top, so it does get a weak spot on top. Up to now, they all get a pretty decent sized cupola. But this one has even a bigger cupola than the remaining others, so yeah, not bad overall. This tank for the upgrade is a 120 caliber gun, but completely stock gets 105. So not really that bad. There is other tanks that has a 105 gun, but yeah, definitely something to look at. So let's get right started with the penetration with this 105. So with standard rounds, you get 260. With premium rounds, 315, and they achieve 53. Down to 320 for both your standard and premium rounds. Each gets 420. Hit points is 1,800, which at least you gain more hit points. This is starting to get higher tiered. Max speed is 40 miles per hour. View range is 370, and concealment is 413. Now let's talk about the armor. And the turret looks like it's going to be a powerhouse, even being a stocked variation of the vehicle. So let's go with the armor. 10-meter thickness, which is these side bits right here. And anywhere else? Nope. Just these bits that hold the turret in place. 20-meter thickness, which is the tracks. 25, which is the belly of the tank and the engine deck and the back of the turret, all-three turret, and around the turret ring. 31, which is these side bits underneath the belly. Again. 38, which is the turret ring and back of the hull and back of the turret as well, as you can see. And this little fighting compartment underneath the turret. But yeah, 40, which is the gun, and these, again, spots that is where the turret sits. 45, which is these left and right spots underneath the belly. 50, which is the spots on the rear of the turret and also on the head roof of the turret. We have 55, which is spots on the turret ring, it looks like. We have 57, which is the left and right of the belly of the tank. We have 60, which is again rear of the turret, these little spots, and also the sides of the turret. We have 65, which is the little spots on where it holds the turret. We have 70, which is these spots on the turret, around the turret as well. We have 72, which is... Where is this? Oh, right there, the lower plate. We have 75, which is the underneath where the gun mantlet is. 76, which is the left and right of the hull right there. We have 80, which is all around the hull and the turret looks like. We have 85, which is the underneath where the gun mantlet sits. We have 88, which is the both sides of the hull and the side of that thing which holds the turret and looks like sides of the turret itself as well. We have 95.0, which is the forehead of where the gun mantlet sits and press inside the bustle of where the turret sits. 95.3, which is the lower plate. 100, which is underneath where the turret is. 103, which is the lower plate. 105, which is the upper plate. 106, which is again the upper plate on the left and right. 108, which is the lower plate. 110, which is the I guess you could say forehead, and then all around the turret as well, but also the cupola. 114, which is the mid part of the lower plate. 115, which is the top part of the turret and the cupola. 117, which is the left and right of where the upper plate sits. 120, which is the around the turret and the cupola. 126, which is left and right of the driver sits. 130, which is the cupola and around the turret. 131, which is again the upper plate. 134, which left and right of the driver. 140, which is over the turret and the gun mallet. I mean, not gun mallet. The oh my goodness, the cupola, big old cupola. 150 is around the turret and the cupola again, and 150.8 is the upper plate. 160 is around the turret and the cupola. 161 is which is the upper plate again. 165, which is the remaining upper plate, and then we have 170, which is the cupola and around the turret. 175, which is over on that side. These small little tiniest parts. 180, which is over around the turret. 190, which is again around left and right of the turret. 195, which is over. Sorry for that, guys. Over the turret again. 210, which is left and right of the turret, and these spots back here as well. 215, which it looks like it's around the turret. 225, which is all over the turret again, and 230, which is underneath the gun as well, or the turret, and 240, which is all over the turret. 245, which is these side bits on the left and right of where it holds the turret. 255, which is the side bits of where it holds it in place with the turret. 216, which is again these little side bits over here. 265, which is again the thing that holds the turret. 275, which is again the thing that holds the turret. And 280, which again more of part of what holds the turret. And then 304, which is the gun mallet itself, or I'm guessing is the gun mallet. So a pretty interesting armor layout for this vehicle, especially for the turret and stuff. But let's look at the other stats of the vehicle. So top forward speed is 40 miles per hour, top reverse speed is 17, horsepower is 690, part to weight ratio is 15.33, how often you get set on fire is 20%, hit points 1,800, hull rotation speed is 26 seconds, soft rotating resistance is 2.50, medium rotating resistance is 1.40, and firm rotating resistance 1.30. The detectability while staying still is 413.40, and while moving is 429.20. View range is 370, signal range is 745, and let's talk about the 105 caliber gun. Turret rotation speed is 32 seconds. I was going to say 20 some seconds or something like that. But don't worry there, guys. I do this as a professional. Accuracy during rotation is 1.18. Max elevation is 20. Max depression is 10. Gun reload time is 8 seconds. Rate of fire is 7.50. Accuracy at 100 meters is 0.37. Accuracy during movement is 2.96. Aim time is 2.20. And you do get only one shot. Like I said, it's a single shot gun. So yeah. Max ammunition you can carry is 54 rounds. Of course, you get AP, heat, HE, and damage per minute is 2,400. So overall, not that bad of an idea for it being a stock. But I guess time will tell for all these things, right? Yeah. And I'm sorry if you guys are hearing that. That's my PC going off in the background. It hasn't gone off that much in the background, hasn't it? But let's go to the last one of the tech tree. And this is the M5Y, the big boy. And from the side, it's a very tall tank. But from the front, it's a pretty narrow tank, especially the turret. The turret, especially if it shows itself, I don't think it's going to be an easy target to really damage and stuff. Honestly, you're shooting large caliber HE shells at. But oh wow, I guess they upgrade gun at 120. So what does that mean? So stock, you get a 105. Not bad at all, I guess. I guess if you want to play with a 120, you can. At least it gets that feature like the PC version did. But let's talk about some of the stats here. So with your standard ammunition, you get 268 meters of pen. With premium rounds, 315. HE gets 53. Damage is 360 for both your standard and premium rounds, and 440 with HE. Hit points is 2,200. Max speed is 40 miles per hour. View range is 400. Concealment is 417. Not bad, right? Yeah. But let's look at the armor, and the armor, oh my gosh. The armor for these vehicles are so friggin' crazy. But let's get to it. So we got 20 meters in this, which is the tracks, and it looks like that's it. And then we get 25, which is the belly of the tank, hull, and the belly of the turret, and also the engine deck, and the cupola. We get 38, which is the rear of the hull and underneath where the turret sits, and also left and right of the belly of the tank and the front. We get 40, which is the gun, 50, which is the rear of the turret, and little bits and bobs around the turret, and the turret ring, and the belly of the tank. 57, which is this little pin piece on the turret, and where the driver sits. 63, which is over the turret and also near the belly of the tank. We got 76, which is over the bottom part of the turret, and it looks like some parts of the hull. 88, which is the sides of the hull, and also bits and bobs around the turret. 101, which is these spots all over the turret and the hull as well. 114, which is the low plate, the upper plate, and some spots on the turret. 127, which is some spot on the hull and the turret itself. 133, which is these side parts on where the turret sits on. 139, which is around the hull and the cupola itself, which is a very small target. 146, which is these spots that hold the turret in place. 152, which is all over the turret and the hull again. 165, which is all over the turret and the hull. 177, which is all over the turret and a little bit on the hull as well. 190, which is a little bit on the hull and a little bit on the turret with also the cupola as well. 203, which is a little bit on the frontal part of the hull and over the turret as well. 215, which is these little bit pobs on the hull. 228, which is a little bit on the hull and the turret itself. 241, which is the two little spots underneath the turret. 254, which is over the turret and the hull. And 266, which is that mid-plate of the hull and where the turret ring is. 279, which is these like two little eyes, you could say, and the thing that holds the turret as well. 342, which is these little spots of the turret, and 355, which is the gun mallet itself. So altogether, not bad amount of armor. But let's look at some of the other stats of the vehicle. Top forward speed is 40 miles per hour. Reverse speed is 17. Horsepower is 750. Power to weight ratio is 18.75. Chance of you setting on fire is 20. Hit points is 2,200. Hull rotation speed is 30 seconds. Soft rotating resistance is 2.40. Medium rotating resistance is 1.30. And firm rotating resistance is 1.20. Detectability range while sitting still is 417.75, while moving is 431.57. View range is 400, and signal range is 745. Gun now, this is 105. Turn rotation speed is 37. Accuracy during rotation is 0.78. Max elevation is 18. Max depression is 12. Reload time is 8.15. Rate of fire is 7.36. Accuracy 100 meters is 0.35. Accuracy during movement is 2.24. Aim time is 2 seconds. shot per clip, which is a single shot gun. One, you get 54 rounds. The APCR heat and HE. Max damage per minute is 2,650. So altogether, not very bad as a tier 10 heavy tank for the Americans. And it looks like it also gets two like machine guns on the sides. And plus it gets that 50 caliber, the Americans' most famous machine gun of all time, on the top of the turret. So yeah. But I still think that these tanks would be still a lot more better if they would just get the mechanic that they have on PC. But at least we don't get it. So there's no time to either cry over spilt milk. We got them. We should be just happy we got them, at least. But still, I gotta say, we should have gotten a mechanic. And plus, if you want to get the premium tank, you can go right ahead and get it because it costs about, I believe, 8,000 gold or something like that, or 9,000 gold. I believe it's 8,000 gold to buy the tier 8 premium tank as well. So if you want to go ahead, buy the premium tank and also grind up the tech tree, there you go. But like I said, hate them, love them, they're here. And let me know, do you play World War II? Do you play Cold War? Or are you in between? You know, like playing a little bit of both as well. Like I said, I'm pretty excited to see these vehicles somewhat. I'm excited to see them because they're new tanks from World Tanks PC, but I'm just upset of not seeing them with the mechanic that they should have. Yes, I'm fine with the new mechanics they got, but that's not the same of getting the same mechanic that PC gets. I don't know if Blitz gets the same mechanics with the track system. I do know, as far as my knowledge goes, I could be wrong, please correct me if I am wrong about it. Someone in, I believe, my last video did said it, so the tier 10 version is an auto loader, so they get a slightly different mechanic, but I don't know if they get the same like track mechanic that, you know, World Tanks PC gets. But like I said, hate them, love them, they're here to stay, and I'm probably going to go ahead and start grinding my way up to tier 10 for this. Yeah, I'm already still playing the Chinese rockets. I'm a little bit slow on the grinder, guys, so I'm sorry for that. But that is the full tech tree lineup of these vehicles, completely stock. Let me know what you think about these vehicles. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Or are you just in between them? Or are you going to play them? Or you're not going to play them? What's your thoughts on these vehicles? And do you think that they should have had the same mechanics what the World Tanks PC has? Let me know. Oh my goodness. Let me know down below in the comments, the guys, about what you think that these tanks should have. Should they have the same mechanics, or are they fine with the type of new mechanic that they get in World Tanks console? Let me know down below in the comments. But that's gonna be it for this video. I'm gonna go get a drink. Mouthful today. But I hope you guys really did enjoy it. If you guys did, please press that thumbs up button and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you guys want to. And like always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye for now.